Welcome back to the channel. This is a follow-up video to my other videos on the Assembly Bill 1824 and modifications to the vehicle code, which it only modified vehicle code 40610, but the other portions of vehicle code that are in play here, as far as when you are cited for a 27151 subdivision A or 27150 subdivision A, there are certain tests that potentially can be run by the state referee that you can use to clear yourself of that particular ticket to get it dismissed. But it does cost you some money. But the test specifications are actually issued by SAE, and they are copyrighted, so I can't actually specify what the test guidelines are. So you can't pre-run your own test unless you purchase a copy of them on your own for your own private use. So I'll give you the information where you can go purchase those specifications, again, for your own private use. And then we'll talk about 6,000 pound vehicle weight information. A lot of people are talking on various videos that the exhaust system noise citations are based on 6,000 pounds of weight. It's actually gross vehicle weight rating your vehicle. So we'll talk about that and how many trucks and SUVs actually might fall into a different category from what we've been all discussing about the various citations amounts and who can run tests on it. So with that, let's get to the introduction and information disclaimer and start piling through the various things I can talk about in this video. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Please review the automotive information, repair, and modification guidelines on this screen. Seek the advice of a repair professional if you're unsure how to perform any repair or modification safely and correctly. All repairs and modifications are performed at your own risk. So a quick recap from before in my previous video about Assembly Bill 1824 Section 4. It modified Subdivision B by adding item number 4, which was where section of the Vehicle Code 27150 Subdivision A and 27151 Subdivision A are now citable offenses. They were formerly fix-it tickets that you could fix the item, go back to the issuing agency, and they would sign it off with possibly zero or a small fine or fee. Now with this modification, it became where it was a non-correctable in the sense that a bail or a fine was applied to the citation for the violation, and then you could potentially take the vehicle to the state referee to have the exhaust system tested to see if it complied, or if you've fixed the situation to confirm it complied, then you could take that certificate of compliance to the court and then have the citation dismissed. But you still have fees associated with the whole process. Going to the referee costs some money, which as best I understand is $108 at this point. And then the court costs might still be in play. So there's still some cost to it, but the whole thing that comes up as an issue here is what are the tests that can be run by the state referee to prove or disprove that you comply with the 95 decibel limit for vehicles that are under 6,000 gross vehicle weight rating. So let's take a look at the next section, actually at the vehicle code from the previous video. Let's switch to that now. Here's vehicle code sections 27150 and 27151. Again, 27150 subdivision A basic says you have to have a muffler system, cannot have a cutout, bypass, or similar device. Again, this didn't change at all with Assembly Bill 1824. This all was still the same before and after 1824 took effect. If you look down in vehicle code section 27151, and then it talks about no person shall modify the exhaust system. So if you go through that, in provisions of section 27150 exceeds the noise limits established in the vehicle in article 2.5 commencing with section 27200. We'll look at that a little bit later with regard to vehicles that are over 6,000 pounds or 6,000 and over gross vehicle weight. So that will come into play a little bit later in the video. And then for subdivision B of 27151, for the purposes of the exhaust systems installed in motor vehicles with the manufacturer's gross vehicle weight rating less than 6,000 pounds, other than motorcycles, a sound level of 95 dBA or less when tested in accordance with the Society of Automotive Engineers Standard J1169 May 1998 complies with this section. So keep in mind that SAE J1169 May 1998 is no longer applicable because the particular standard documented in that J1169 was canceled in a later version of the document. So 1169 was canceled in early 2000, I think it was 2007 or 8. And then a different one was created, an SAE J1492. Right now, the vehicle code points to 1169. And I've had conversations with the California Bureau of Automotive Repair. A very nice gentleman was working with me. And I basically got back from them that they are aware that the vehicle code references this particular J1169 and that it is no longer applicable necessarily, but the California Bureau of Automotive Repair and the state referee are using the later version or a enhanced version of the J1169. It's SAE J1492. So we'll go through what those are and what you can or can't see and how much they cost to get copies of them. But right now the vehicle code is pointing to J1169, and we'll take a look at the Bureau of Automotive Repair information in just a moment, and you'll see where it references J1492. So let's say you received a citation under 27151A or 27150 subdivision A, and you want to contest it in the sense that you want to prove that your vehicle does comply, or you know that it doesn't and you've retrofitted your vehicle back to with equipment that makes it comply with the 95 decibel limit. Again, this is I'm talking about for vehicles under 6,000 gross vehicle weight rating. You then would need to go to the state referee, so you contact the referee scheduling center, and then you have them perform the test, and their test is based on SAE standard J1492 October 2008. Now that specification, which actually, based on what I've read of it, is, I would prefer that to be the one rather than 1169. But again, you'll have to purchase a copy of it for your own private use. You can't disseminate it on the internet or talk about it in videos as far as specifics. But what I would suggest is you get a copy of that if you're really involved in this and you want to prove or disprove that your vehicle is in compliance, and you want to know what the test will be as far as positioning of microphones and RPMs and all that. You may want to purchase that. So again, down in the description section of this video, I'll have links to the SAE site where you can potentially take a look at a preview section of it. It doesn't give you the meat of the document at all, but you can at least read the intro part. And then to purchase it, it's $81 for each of them. So if you want to look at 1169, it's an $81 fee. And then if you want to look at 1492, that's an $81 fee as well. Again, for private use only. I have applied or sent a request to SAE to get permission to reference some of the information that's pertinent to this. I truly believe that I will be denied that request, but I thought I'd at least try to ask. But right now, I want you to at least understand that the state referee is well-versed, based on the comments I've received back from the California Bureau of Automotive Repair. They are well-versed in the SAE standard J1492, October 2008, and that is the standard for the test they will be running on any vehicle coming in for a noise level test for their exhaust system. So if you're really that into figuring out what you want to know about the test, get a copy of that for your own private consumption and review the specifications as far as RPMs and positions of microphone for the decibel meter and all that. It'll be well worth your money if you're going to fight this and want to know the true information about it. But again, for your own private use. So given that, you now know that your vehicle is going to be tested in a particular way. You can either prep your vehicle, make sure it actually passes based on if you have the proper equipment, or if you just want to know what it is, look at that specification and obtain a legal copy of it by downloading and purchasing one, and you'll have more information. But again, getting the state referee to perform the test, you can then get your certificate of compliance, and then you can take that certificate of compliance to the court, and in most cases, if it complies, the court should be able to dismiss the citation, but you will still have fees that you will have had to have paid along the way, because the state referee test is $108, as I understand at this point in time, and there may be court costs related to the processing of the citation. So the other video I have, which I'll put a link up above here right now, I go through the bail schedule, which applies to most counties in the state of California, but you again need to check out what is applicable in your particular county where the citation was issued. So let's move on to the next question of, is it 6,000 pounds, what is the 6,000 pounds that's being talked about, and how does it impact my vehicle if my vehicle is over 6,000 pounds on gross vehicle weight rating. So let's go over the definition of what curb weight and gross vehicle weight rating are. The curb weight is basically what the vehicle weighs as it's on the street with the fluids and the body, engine, all the normal parts of the vehicle, but no passengers or cargo. Gross vehicle weight rating is assigned by the vehicle manufacturer, and that's the believed maximum weight the vehicle can actually obtain. So as you can see on the screen here, the vehicle code is referring to the gross vehicle weight rating, not what the vehicle weighs. So you need to be able to look that up for your vehicle. And here I'm going to show you an example of that tag on my 2004 Chevrolet SSR pickup, which is a fairly heavy vehicle overall, but its curb weight is around 4,800 pounds, but its gross vehicle weight rating is 6,050. So keep in mind that the 27151 subdivision A and subdivision B mentioned 6,000. So my vehicle, though, still has to comply with noise limits as defined in Article 2.5 commencing with 27200. And here's 27200 that we had in the previous video. But there's a subsection 27204 which defines based on year of manufacture and gross vehicle weight. So that will be the guide for vehicles that do not fall under the category of under 6,000 in gross vehicle weight rating. So let's take a look at that quickly. So mine's 6,050, so after 1977, it's actually 80 decibels. So that is more restrictive than the general one in subdivision B here of 27151. So most passenger cars should fall under this and be held to the standard of 95 dBA, but your vehicle may actually have a more restrictive one if you're following the letter of the vehicle code as I understand it today. And again, on my vehicle, here's the example of that tag that's on the door, and you should have a similar tag on your vehicle as well to be able to look that up. So if you have a conversation with a police officer about a citation, you might want to mention or already know what that is so that you can have an intelligent conversation with the police officer about your gross vehicle weight and whether subdivision B has a 95 decibel limit applies. It might be more restrictive. Just never know. You should know that going into the situation rather than figuring it out afterwards. So if you've received a citation for your vehicle that is gross vehicle weight rating of 6,000 pounds or higher, you need to contact the agency that issued the citation and or the court to identify the appropriate way to get a certificate of correction or a way to prove that it's been corrected. Because the existing program that we've been talking about in this video applies to vehicles with gross vehicle weight rating under 6,000 pounds. So again, please contact the agency that issued the citation as a starting point, and then if they don't have appropriate information, then contact the court to see how you can resolve that citation for your vehicle. So hopefully this video has been helpful in identifying the various testing standards, at least as much as I can divulge, which in most cases is nothing. At least I've identified them. The fact that the Bureau of Automotive Repair is aware that the vehicle code is based on SAE J1169, and the actual testing standard used by the state referee is SAE J1492. They're fully aware of that, and based on my communications with them, so they're working on trying to resolve that with the vehicle code going forward. And hopefully you have a better understanding of the 6,000 pound gross vehicle weight separation between most vehicles, passenger cars, light trucks and stuff might fall under that, but make sure you check out your vehicle to understand what your vehicle's gross vehicle weight rating is, so you know which category you fall into. And especially if you're discussing this with a police officer on the side of the road, they might want to be aware of what the gross vehicle weight rating is if they're not aware, so that they know how to properly handle the situation. So if you found this video helpful, hit that like button. And again, check down in the description section. I'll have any updates to this as possible, and there might be a follow-on video if there's any additional information that I've been able to get access to. As I mentioned in the video earlier about SAE, I've applied for some getting some access to some of the specifications out of those documents. I don't believe I'll get the right to use that information, but it doesn't hurt to ask. But if I can, I'll work on that, and if I get that information, I'll make a follow-up video where I can actually identify the test being run. But right now, that's as far as I can go. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for coming to the channel. If you like this video, smash that like button. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Please follow Retro Car Guy 530 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for taking the time to visit the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.